Good evening, folks. Pep Man Matt Morrow here once again on Friday Night Live, or CFI After Dark, whichever one you would prefer. I'm here, and it's just me. So we'll see if any of the guys will join us, but otherwise, we had another fun night of football, and tonight was a little unusual because I haven't seen many scores. It's been a lot going on, and we had a long game over at Cox Mill. We were at Mooresville and Cox Mill tonight, and Mooresville won that game 44-30. So we were there. I don't think I left until like a quarter to 11. I just got home, so I haven't seen many scores. So please post your scores, and then we'll talk about all of the action that was going on across the Charlotte metro area. So I'll start and talk about the game I was at, Mooresville and Cox Mill, and it was a very interesting game. I think we had all types of penalties. I think there was a bingo card, and you could check off, probably the whole bingo card. It ran the gamut tonight. Um, we had some emotional plays, personal fouls. We had big plays on both sides. There was a lot of talent on the field, a lot of different coaching strategies going on. I think at the end of the game, it looked like Cox Mill let Morrisville score to go up 37-30 and then get the ball back with enough time on the clock to try to mount a drive. At the end of the game, big time players making big time plays. We did interviews. If you were on our social media, you see we did interviews with three of the big time players from Mooresville, linebacker Caleb Edstrom, the running back Jawan Howell, who had over 250 yards on the ground with 4 touchdowns, and then big D lineman Xavier Booker, who was, uh, really impactful on some big plays, had a couple tackles for loss. I know he had at least one big sack. I think he had two because I missed one. And then he had an important blocked extra point that kind of, kept the margin, where it needed to be. So I was really impressed, with Mooresville and their running game especially. A lot of type of inside, outside zone. Really good blocking by that Mooresville offensive line. Um, and just a good overall effort. It looks like the bye week really helped them after the loss to Huff. So they go into a big game next week against Hickory Ridge. Cox Mill falling to 3-2. I think there were some bright spots. I was really impressed with their receiver play. I think Kendall Harris, is a heck of a player. Ivy, number 17, had some big catches. Tyrell Cord at running back, was impressive, really on the off tackle type runs. I thought he had really good vision and ran, behind his blocks and set them up really well. Um, so that was, it was impressive on both sides for sure. I'm gonna get to your comments in a second because I see them, flying in now. I just want to get this out to a little bit more people on Facebook, and we got that out. Okay. All right, so let's go to the comments because I see you are posting scores and comments in general. So, first, yes, Nikisha. Yeah, no updates. You didn't go tonight. Oh, okay. I see it now. 39-0. Oh, okay. Well, I trust your son, so that's a good win for Rocky River. But we'll look at the score ticker here and verify that. All right. Yes, I'm sure, Mooresville fans were very, very happy with that outcome. Especially at the end where they had the pick six to seal the game to end, Cox Mill's comeback attempt. It's impressive stuff right there. All right, Marcus Bell, Kings Mountain 44, Hunter Huss 14. So I did get an update on that one on Twitter, and it was 22-14 at halftime, and I'm sitting there like, oh wow. I mean, we have talked about Hunter Huss, and we've talked about them, being improved. But that score was a bit of a surprise at the time. But then, second half Kings Mountain took it and they, spread the margin out to kind of like what you would expect. But um, good win for Kings Mountain as they continue to roll. But I think they probably got a little bit of lesson at halftime that, Hunter Huss is improved and you can't, take them lightly. Jonathan Leach, you're sitting up waiting for this? Oh, man. I better bring it because I'm tired. I'm tired, man. Good Lord. We took a group picture with the chat administrator over at Cox Middle Night. So if you're on Twitter, he is real. Some people might think he's a bot. He's not. He's a real person. But yeah, those penalty yards, that's crazy. It was something else. Chris Hagler, Hickory Ridge 45-24 over A.L. Brown. That was when I was getting updates on. I saw A.L. Brown led that game, I think at halftime, 17-13. So obviously, second half, Hickory Ridge, got it in gear and ran that to about a margin where I think most people would kind of expect it to be. But big win for Hickory Ridge opening conference play. And we mentioned it earlier, they got Mooresville in another big game at Mooresville next week. Coach Tatum, North Rowan bounced back against South Davidson 40-6. That North Rowan offense, man, they always putting up a bunch of points. It's good to see you too, Coach. Always good to see you up here on CFI After Dark, man. Congratulations on that big win. Let's see here. Jim West checking in. All right. Yes, Concord won. Concord didn't win tonight over East Rowan. No, Kenneth was not out celebrating. I know where he is, but he's not celebrating tonight. He's taking it easy. Let's see here. Yes, so this is the producer. Yes. Definite shout out to the chat administrator. Yes, it was. It was very, very cool. Very, very cool. And then producer coming in, yep, they definitely earned it. That was a good high school football game, full of everything that you ever want. Let's see. Lanesha Dowd, 14-6. South Meck over Palisades. Okay, that's a win for South Meck. Well, that shows some, improvement for Palisades. That's pretty good to, hang in there and, make that a really, really tough ball game right there. So, congrats to both teams on a well-played football game. Benji Moose from Mount Pleasant. Big win for the Tigers. Defense played lights out, 30-9 over Anson. All right, good job. Congrats to Mount Pleasant for getting back in the win column after a tough week last week. Good people up in Mount Pleasant. Good job. Gene Mills Manal. Congrats to Mooresville Blue Devils. Oh yeah, absolutely. Should be happy with them. Should be very proud. So, chat administrator says 285 and 4 TDs for Howell. And then the backup, number 2, Westmoreland, he's fast. 109 and a score on 19 carries. So, yes, those stats are right. Mooresville ran the ball well. We did an interview with their head coach, Joe Nixon, after the game. And he said that was their game plan, to run the football, keep it out of the potent Cox Mill offense's hands. And they did that. At a pretty good clip, as you see right there. Summer Blevins, West Meck fan. Did not go our way. First loss hurts. Our guys held Chambers to just 27 points. Offense just couldn't capitalize. Yeah, I mean, holding Chambers to 27 is an accomplishment with everything they got going on over there. But, yeah, I mean, it was, it's a good measuring stick to see where you are. And, now you know where you are, and now you can go back and work on some things and, you get into the playoffs. you never know what you might have another shot and see if you can take advantage. Um, but congrats to Chambers on another win. It's tough to win over there, off IBM Drive for sure. Coach Trotter checking in. Pine Lake 30, Mountain Island 0, and standout is Nick Reed, 1 rushing touchdown and 2 interception returns for touchdowns. Wow. Yeah, 2 pick sixes, coach. That's impressive. We had to get Nick Reed on Petman's players. That's big stuff right there, Nick. It's hard enough to get 1 pick six or just a pick for that matter, but to get 2 pick sixes, wow, that is amazing. That Pine Lake defense is real, man. That is real stuff. All right, let's see. We got let's see, Sean. Thanks for watching, Sean. North Stanley 40-34 over Randleman. Cam Smith with 5 touchdowns, over 200 rushing yards, and over 300 all-purpose. All right. And then Jay Jackson with 14.5 tackles. All right, good stuff. Cam Smith, I saw he had a game-winning play. I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago for North Stanley. And I was impressed. I think he's a heck of an athlete. And we'll get him on the Petman's players this week because that's good stuff right there. 5 touchdowns. Good gracious. Shout out to North Stanley, man. That's awesome. All right. Miss Burlow's checking in. Didn't get to watch South Mac beat Palisades, but wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's a way to step up right there. If you got 2 days to play quarterback, oh man, that's tough. But yeah, shout out to South Mac for getting that done, and that young man Brock hope I say this right. Rhys Mahler. Either way, great job, Brock. That's awesome, man. That's awesome right there. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to the ticker. I think we got all the comments that we got right there. So, all right, we talked about Chambers 27-0 over West Mech. Olympic continues to roll big over my Hardin Rams, 48-6. Tough year for all of us Hardin alumni, but that's all right. We're gonna keep fighting. Myers Park gets into the win column big over Berry, 50-0. They get their first win on the season. Charlotte Catholic big over Providence, 49-14. Butler over Garinger, 68-0. Huff big over North Mech, 52-0. A lot of blowouts in Charlotte tonight. Good gracious. Cardinal Gibbons over Porter Ridge in our pick'em. I missed this pick, 24-3. Congrats to Cardinal Gibbons for coming down. They get another big win. Just talked about South Mech over Palisades, 14-6. Northwest Cabarrus. I saw this score. I was like, good gracious. Big over South Orwand, 67-6. Coach Mormon got those guys rolling. Charlotte Latin with a good win over Leach and Collegiate, 21-14. Marvin Ridge big over Alexander Central, 41-3. Covenant Day building on that win from last week over Metrolina. They beat Asheville Christian 36-20, 2 in a row for the Lions. Metrolina Christian bouncing back after that loss, big over South Lake Christian 48-0. Monroe big over Sun Valley 55-14. I thought Sun Valley would make that interesting. They did. They scored first, and then Monroe, just said, okay, that's enough. That's it. Monroe in the Dirty Dozen at number 12. They might be moving up even more. That's an impressive win because we saw how Sun Valley was playing. And then Monroe to just kind of walk the dog with them like that tells me a lot about Monroe. Lake Norman Charter over Union Academy, 32-0. Parkwood, 27 over 7 over Piedmont. Forest Hills big over Montgomery Central, 58-0. Forest Hills 5-0 on the season. Christ the King, I think they're still undefeated, 27-6 over Carver. Congratulations to the Crusaders, man. They got it going. Talked about earlier, Concord over East Rowan, 35-14. Concord getting their first win on the season. West Stanley falls to Oak Grove on the road, 24-12. Mount Pleasant, we talked about them earlier. That score was 30-9 over Anson County. Community School of Davidson, big win, 68-21 over Bishop McGuinness. Quarterback AJ Sirianni, they tagged me. Make sure you tag me on Twitter or send me your stats in DM to be considered for Petman's players. AJ Sirianni had 6 touchdowns passing in the first half. Good gracious. Mallard Creek, big over West Charlotte, 35-6. And I'll tell you, hey, we talked about that in the preseason, the Mallard Creek out-of-conference schedule, preparing them now for conference play. They come into conference and they, win convincingly. So keep an eye on them. Hickory Ridge, talked about it, 45-24 over A.L. Brown. Freedom goes into Central Bears and knocks off the Vikings 46-29 in a high-scoring affair. Shelby, big win over Cherryville, 70-0. You think them golden lines going away? Think again. Crest over Ashbrook in a good game, 33-17. That game was close all the way through. Battle of Belmont is what I saw somewhere, and the Red Raiders won it, 47-14 over Stuart Kramer. East Gaston go all the way up to Cherokee and getting a win, 13-7 over Cherokee. Good job, East Gaston. Forest View in a pit. This was a pick'em game for us, and I got it wrong. I was putting my faith in North Gaston, but they couldn't get it done. Forest View wins 20-0 over the Wildcats. In a great game, I think this score is reversed because we had Sumter Productions there. I think J.M. Robinson won this game 29-28 over Cuthbertson. They got it reversed on the ticker, but I think J.M. Robinson won that game. Catawba Ridge remaining undefeated on the season, 45-27 over Chester. Fort Mill falls at Lugoff Elgin, 27-14 down in South Carolina. Coach Bockham, Hickory Grove, 5-0. They still rolling. They defeat Northside Christian on the road, 35-20. Rock Hill falls to York in a region, I think it's a region battle, 42-14 York over Rock Hill. And this one, when I started getting word on this, I was surprised. This was a pick'em game for us. We all picked South Point out of Rock Hill. Now hold on to your hats. They traveled down to South Florence, who is number 4 in 4A in South Carolina. South Florence 42, South Point 7. And that is correct. South Florence. That's gonna wake some people up in South Carolina. And that sent some shockwaves to some people up here when I saw that one. So South Florence is real interesting right there. Burns, big over Highland Tech, 74-0. East Lincoln over Hickory, 28-12. Bessemer City, I think that's their first win on the season, 47-24 over Thomas Jefferson. Good game up at West Rowan. The West Rowan Falcons pull it out 34-31 over Carson. South Iredale still rolling, 34-13 over West Cabarrus. They bounced back after that tough loss to East Forsyth last week. North Iredale over Fred T. Ford, 28-7. Gaffney bouncing back. This was a bit of a surprise. Gaffney 28, Northwestern 7. Northwestern had been rolling, but Gaffney gets a big win. And then our final score, Buford 49 over the Carolina Bearcats 8. So those are the scores we got on the ticker. Let's take a look at any more comments that came in right here. We got a couple. Let's see here. The final stats for AJ Sirianni I just alluded to. 465 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Ty Allison, he was a Petman player. I think last week had another interception, 10 tackles and a sack. Good job, Ty. Ty had 3 interceptions last week. Good player right there. So yep, next gen 42-7. Yep, yeah, we just talked about that. Quarterback didn't play. Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, that's still, that sent some shockwaves right there, big time. Yeah, and we just talked about Gaffney 28-7 over Northwestern. So, a lot of blowouts tonight in Charlotte proper in the city, but There was some good games. There's a lot of guys making big plays. Once again, make sure you tag us on Twitter with your plays, your stats. You can also send it a DM on Twitter at Petman704. You can DM us on Instagram at Charlotte Football Insiders and on Facebook at Charlotte Football Insiders to get all the recognition you want for Petman's Players, which is sponsored by VTO Sports. All right. I think that covers it. So next week we'll be back. I think we'll probably have another guest host on Football Focus Weekly. We'll also have some special guests that'll join us. We had Blue Monroe join us last week along with the guest host Jeremy Johnson. So stay tuned to see who will be on the show with us this week. And we'll have our JV game of the week on Thursday. And by the way, heck of a JV game Thursday night, man. I was up at North Mech. Huff and North Mech, man, they got some good talent coming up. Huff won the game 25-18, but I was really impressed with players on both sides, man, especially North Mech, man. They got some really good, special, young skill players. So JV game of the week next Thursday, then Friday night, we'll be out somewhere covering the games and doing what we do. So stay tuned. We'll have pictures and we'll have highlights from Mooresville at Cox Mill tonight. Zay Flicks was up at Hickory Ridge and A.L. Brown. He'll have highlights from that. They'll be amazing as always. Sumter Productions was at J.M. Robinson Cuthbertson, which was in overtime. So he'll have some great highlights from that. I shared on the story on Instagram the reaction after they won that game in overtime. Pretty cool to see. And then Joe Hughes was at Ashbrook and Crest. So, of course, he'll have his great stuff on the Gaston Gazette website. So, Petman Matt Morrow, CFI After Dark, Friday Night Live. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Enjoy some football. Let's go Panthers up in New York. Let's get it done, baby.